Today we will be seeing what happens when SCP-096 gets unleashed inside of Minecraft and what all chaos ensues.
The pale humanoid anomaly had just found itself in Minecraft, of all
How did it get there?
places. The all too familiar wail of emergency alarms rang out through the corridors of the Foundation facility. It had happened again, another containment breach. Of course, the on-site personnel were more than familiar with the protocols for a situation like this. So well
I would hope they were familiar with them.
versed in what to do during an emergency that it had become second nature. Whether they were research staff evacuating for their own safety, or security teams moving in to recapture the escaped anomaly and get the situation under control, everyone was moving like they had been programmed. Muscle
How do you recapture an anomaly, though, that has moved itself into a video game?
memory taking over. The loose anomaly was none other than SCP-096. All Foundation personnel were alerted and reminded not to look directly at the creature. There was just one problem. They couldn't look even if they'd ignored their order to try. Nobody could, because the shy guy was nowhere to be found. Well, nowhere in the real world, at least. This whole situation, bizarre even by Foundation standards, had all started with an experiment involving a member of the disposable D-Class personnel. Yet another dangerous convict serving one of several life sentences, now being used as an expendable human lab rat for the Foundation.
And that's why you don't use convicts as lab rats. Something is bound to go wrong.
Foundation's often sinister purposes. The experiment in question was an attempt to further test the limitation of SCP-096's abilities. By now, the Foundation had done extensive research into the creature, known as the Shy Guy. They knew its particular brand of anomalous qualities were triggered when anyone looked directly at it. Being observed would instantaneously send SCP-096 into an uncontrollable rage state, causing it to pursue its observer until they were no longer standing. SCP-096 was known to be able to travel at speeds so relentless, it was pretty much impossible to stop.
And if this creature is so dangerous, then it's probably best just to slap it into a metal cage, drop it to the bottom of the ocean, and make sure no one can even look at it.
Moment it was sobbing and screeching in its cell, having just been observed, and minutes later, the wide-jawed, long-limbed monster was standing behind whoever had seen it, making its screaming face the image its victim took to the grave with them. Foundation researchers knew that SCP-096's rage state could be triggered by as little as someone seeing the slightest hint of a creature. Even if the Shy Guy had been captured as a tiny speck in the background of a photograph, it would come after anyone whose eyes so much as
Well, that would be a problem. You take a picture and it's in the background and now it kills you.
glanced over that speck. It also didn't matter how far away the observer was. SCP-096 could not be outrun. It could track down anyone wherever they were in the world. But what if a person who had observed the Shy Guy was no longer in the world? The experiment had taken a lot of trial and error. After all, digitizing a human being and transforming their entire consciousness into code was no easy task.
I can't imagine it would be. And if you want to put it on another world, put it on the moon.
But the Foundation wasn't above breaking more than a few eggs to make an omelet, especially when those eggs were the brains of a few D-Class personnel. Actually, the first test subjects turned out more scrambled or fried. Certainly overdone, given the amount of smoke coming from their ears.
Well, that is certainly a problem as well.
But eventually, the research team had perfected the device they dubbed the Neural Harness, a headset that could translate a person's mind into pure digital code. Their consciousness would be extracted from their body, leaving their physical form an empty shell, while a digital copy of them was able to traverse the local on-site computer network. Of course, the Foundation wasn't about to let a digitized D-Class run amok with their systems, so their coding experts wrote a number of specialized parameters into their successful test subject.
That's good. You do not want a Class D running around messing with your test systems. Also, you should probably make sure the Class D can't escape your computers, and then start just running amok inside of anyone's computer.
Now the digital D-Class could be programmed to follow the Foundation's directive. From his perspective, it was like he was floating through cyberspace, towards the system that the Foundation had directed him to. A surveillance camera inside SCP-096's cell that usually remained inactive, but not today. The camera blinked to life as soon as the D-Class's code-based consciousness reached it, and through it, he was able to observe SCP-096 sitting against the far wall of its containment chamber, gently whimpering and walking back and forth. That is, until the creature felt that same familiar sensation of being watched. It stood up, enraged, wailing uncontrollably as the D-Class watched from within the camera. Then, a split second later, SCP-096 appeared to blink out of existence. It hadn't worked. The experiment had failed, and the digital D-Class began to panic.
Well, that's now a major problem because SCP-096 just disappeared into oblivion. Now you can't contain him at all.
The Foundation coders could stop him, he frantically scoured the local network for anything, some kind of escape route back into the real world. Maybe, he thought, if he could get back into his body, it wouldn't count. Technically, his digital self was separate from his physical form, so he might get out of SCP-096's clutches on a technicality. But it was impossible. His body was already burned out by the neural harness. There was no way for the D-Class to transfer himself back. There was only one option left: hide. And as it turned out, someone had forgotten to uninstall a certain building game from a computer in one of the Foundation doctor's offices.
Well, that's another problem. Your doctors are forgetting to uninstall video games on actual official computers.
The D-Class's digitized mind zapped him into Minecraft. From his point of view, it was like he existed within the game itself. He did a computerized equivalent of breathing a sigh of relief, only to take back all those ones and zeros in a horrified gasp as he noticed a tall, wiry framed figure before him.
However, this is Minecraft, and in Minecraft if you die you respawn at the world spawn. So does that mean that he can even die without just respawning and coming back to life? And if SCP-096 kills him before he respawns, and he now comes back to life respawned, will SCP-096 kill him a second time? And a third time?
Hadn't worked. SCP-096 had still managed to follow him into Minecraft. Even in a world of computer code, the Shy Guy was able to dispatch its digital observer quite easily, and what had once been a living human mind in the form of binary code was quickly deleted. But that's when SCP-096 started to take notice of its surroundings. With the most recent person to see it gone, it had the chance to actually take in where it was. The bright rays of warm light coming down from a cube-shaped sun reveal a welcoming landscape all around, constructed entirely from cubes. It fascinated SCP-096, instilling a kind of childlike wonder in the Shy Guy, the likes of which it hadn't experienced since it couldn't remember when. Rather than leaving, instantly reappearing in its containment chamber, SCP-096 made the conscious decision to start exploring. There was a mountainous biome surrounding SCP-096, stony spires reaching up towards a clear sky, with a waterfall cascading its way down the nearest of them. At the foot of the mountains was the opening of a cave, which the Shy Guy found itself wandering towards.
So yeah, just leave the Shy Guy in Minecraft then he won't be able to hurt anyone. And problem solved. The Shy Guy will now be contained forever.
The light from the sun, while a pleasant and welcoming change to the surroundings it was used to, was a little harsh on SCP-096's sunken eyes. So instead, it began to gravitate towards the shadowy confines of the caves, not unlike the usual darkness of its containment chamber back at the Foundation, traversing through long, winding corridors of stone.
And here's another thing that's going to be interesting is what happens when a Minecraft mob looks at Shy Guy. Is Shy Guy going to destroy zombies, creepers, spiders, and skeletons? Or are they just going to leave each other alone? Because technically those are mobs, and not an actual person. And therefore the way that they see inside of the game might not be the same way that people see in the real world.
SCP-096 found itself having to bend down to avoid hitting its head on the cave's low ceiling. Obviously, this formation of rocky blocks hadn't formed with someone of the Shy Guy's height in mind. There was a low, warm glow coming from the farthest side of the tunnel, and the thin creature made its way closer and closer, despite the stone walls around it feeling like a tighter confinement than its cell. Approaching the source of the light, SCP-096 was relieved that the cave opened out into a more spacious area, the cramped tunnel giving way to an expansive chamber that lay within the heart of the mountain. The warm, orangey glow that had been coming from a flowing stream of boiling hot lava that seemed to trickle down from somewhere above, creating a deadly, fiery pool directly in the Shy Guy's path. But just before it could turn back and leave the cave through the way he came, SCP-096 sensed that familiar feeling of something observing him. Across the lava pool on the other side was a creature comprised of a green cube for a head.
So Minecraft mobs can most certainly trigger Shy Guy then. Well, this is going to be very interesting.
With a long, armless cuboid body and 4 cubed feet. If it had been present in the real world, it might have been made out of leaves like a living shrub. It was staring directly at the Shy Guy from across the lava, only for this strange newcomer to disappear a moment later. The creeper hissed before it realized that SCP-096 had leaped up behind it to land a fatal blow. But little did the infamously anxious anomaly realize that the sentient shrub wasn't done. There was a colossal boom that caused SCP-096 to stagger backwards, whimpering at the sudden loud explosion and the pain that had accompanied it.
That is the problem with creepers, they do explode.
The creeper had blown itself to pieces, but in doing so, had left a lasting injury that caused SCP-096 considerable discomfort as it began limping towards the cave that led out the opposite side of the mountain. Despite its injury, the Shy Guy was still able to move with relative ease, and the further it went, the more it seemed to gradually heal. However, it was as it stepped out once more into the sunlight that the creature realized just how hungry it was. Back in the real world, it hadn't eaten for several hours, and surprisingly, even while accidentally stuck in digitized form, the hunger mechanics of Minecraft were having an effect on SCP-096. The Shy Guy started searching around for anything that could prove.
So then here's another question. If what happens in Minecraft and how the game is played affects SCP-096, then does that mean SCP-096 can die inside of Minecraft?
To satiate its hunger. There was a grove of trees not far, so SCP-096 lumbered to take a closer look. It couldn't be certain, but it felt there was at least a slim chance that there were apples growing amongst the leaves. But even at the anomaly's own elongated height, it couldn't simply reach up to pick them. However, it was while swiping its arms up at the tree that the Shy Guy swung its fist and knocked at the tree trunk. To the creature's surprise, it was able to chip away at the wood with its hands, punching at the tree until the trunk had been reduced to a collection of wooden blocks that the Shy Guy was able to collect. And sure enough, some red apples dropped from the leaves above, enough to quell the hunger that SCP-096 was feeling, at least for the time being. Nearby, something was moving through the trees. It was yet to lock eyes on SCP-096, but the second it did, the mob would surely have sealed its own fate. As it moved around, minding its own business, the tall figure overheard the sounds of the Shy Guy.
So if that's an Enderman and Enderman can teleport, could it technically stay ahead of SCP-096 by constantly just teleporting around and staying one step ahead?
Eating, and its attention was drawn to where the creature was standing, enjoying an apple. Sensing that it had been seen, SCP-096 turned and locked eyes with the entity. It was perhaps the only other being in Minecraft that was a similar height and stature to the anomaly itself. In fact, the pair were strikingly similar. Before SCP-096 could carry out its usual method of attack, the Enderman suddenly teleported out of view. But it was too late now. Both it and the Shy Guy had looked at the other's face. Both had been provoked and were compelled to react in exactly the same way. Just as SCP-096 entered its rage state, the Enderman too opened its mouth and began to shake, making loud, lengthy sounds not dissimilar to the Shy Guy's own angered screams. But something profoundly strange happened next. SCP-096 and the Enderman kept attempting to pursue one another, appearing in a new location within the Minecraft world, neither one getting close enough to the other. They'd teleport, only for the other to teleport away the moment they saw each other, each trying to catch one another but always staying one step behind. This rapid chase almost became a strange, ongoing sort of teleporting dance between SCP-096 and the Enderman. At first, the Shy Guy had been compelled to attack the Enderman, like it was with any who looked directly at it. But as they appeared and disappeared from place to place, the creature started to feel an odd kinship with this shadowy fellow. It was so used to being frightened and alone, to its overwhelming feelings of insecurity and self-loathing, that the simplicity of just traversing the open world, with a creature very alike itself in many ways, it had all come as a welcome change. SCP-096 found it therapeutic even, and before long was following the Enderman not out of any intention to do it harm, but just to feel, for a little while, like it had a friend. Just a little bit longer. SCP-096 thought, welcoming the enjoyment it felt playing this game of Minecraft.
And that wraps up what happens when you place SCP-096 inside of Minecraft. And let me know in the comment section of this video if you think that the SCP Foundation should just leave him inside of Minecraft, so that way no one can ever look at him again, or actually try and retrieve SCP-096. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe, and hope to see you all next time.